Hi everybody, it's Professor Diffley. This is for History 100, Early Western Civ. These are some overview videos and lecture videos for Module 4, Chapter 3, The Rise and Fall of Golden Age Greece. So there'll be several videos here. First, let's just walk through what you need to do this week. As always, there's learning outcomes. As we've talked about before, these give you an idea of what you should be looking at here. There's a weekly work plan. Notice one important thing this week, there is no discussion board. No discussion board this week, just the quiz. So make sure you, spend more time on the videos, taking notes, that sort of thing. You can see the reading assignments here, textbooks, the lecture slides, as well as videos. Again, as it says, no discussion board this week. Here's the lecture slides as always. A couple websites here on the, I'll take you out to it. One is about the Greek warships, and another is about the Great Persian Invasion. This offers some more detail. Well, that link's not working. I'll fix that. And then you'll see the required videos. Of course, there's one. We watched part of this in the last module. Watch the rest of it for this one. There's a good video here about the Peloponnesian War that goes into a lot of detail about it. And this one's important because there's questions on the quiz exam for this. This is about the art and architecture, artistic elements of the Parthenon, which is discussed in your book, but make sure you watch these videos. So again, quizzes, exams, quizzes are all in here. As you can see, the Module 4 one is up. So let's take a run through the slides here. Give you some narration. As always, don't forget there are often notes that go along with the slides. Some of these have more than others. Or is there none for this one? Maybe I didn't add any for this one, apparently. But, there usually are. But I put a lot of information. That's what I did. I put a lot of information in the slides this time around. But let's get back into this. So, Chapter 3, Rise and Fall of the Greek Golden Age. Here we are. Just some historical errors here. The terminology, the Golden Age, this is what most people think of when they're thinking about ancient Greece and Athens, 500 to 400 BCE. We have the most info about Athens, so that's why there's so much on there. But this is also part of Classical Age Greece. Classical Age Greece ends with the death of Alexander the Great, who we will cover in the next module. Here is just this just a picture to tell you else what else is going on in the West at this time. Students often ask me this, what else is going on? So you can see the names in purple, all the different groups around at this era. We are focusing in on Greece, classical Greece here, though. Just more, so these are some of the major cities, areas within ancient classical Greece. So first, we're at the Persian Wars. This is a turning point for the Greeks, and very, very important, really is a turning point in sort of Western history, that sort of thing. It's fought in two parts. So when I talk about the Persian Wars, there's two different parts. There's the Ionian Revolt to the Battle of Marathon, which mostly involves only Athens, and then you have the Great Persian Invasion from 480 to 479 BCE, which includes more of the Greek city-states. But this is what we're talking about here. You can see it's about a 20-year conflict. There's clearly a 10-year gap in between the two parts of the war, but they are both the Greco-Persian Wars, both between the Greeks and the Persians. So this is a depiction of them. You can tell who the Greeks are and who the Persians are. The Greek has Pegasus on the shield here. But more importantly, the Persians are wearing pants, and which the Greeks found weird. They wore togas and skirts akin to a kilt in many ways. They thought it was weird that the Persian men wore pants. Which is kind of funny, because if I probably showed up in a skirt or a kilt, people would say that was weird. But if I wear pants, it's so you can see how some things do change over time. All right, so origins of this. Part of this is really in many ways, diplomatic mistakes and confusions. The Athenians had went to Darius, the Persians, for aid. and to try to make an alliance with him. Now, remember, there's a difference between an alliance and submitting yourself to another power. So the way things work, and this might be because of differences in cultures and just not fully understanding. Remember, there's language barriers, that sort of thing. So what happens is the Athenians go to the Persians. The Persians ask for, they say, yeah, we'll help you, or, but you need to give us symbolic gifts of soil and water, And so the Athenian diplomats give it to the Persians. Now, the Persians view these gifts as you submitting to join their empire, to submit and recognize the Persian emperor as the power. The Athenians thought they were making an alliance, so a grouping of equals. When this came back to the Athenian assembly, they rejected it. They said they did not want to be part of the Persian Empire. They wanted to stay independent. And so that's bad enough, but, a few years later, you get a revolt in Ionia. Now, remember, Ionia is the west coast of what is today Turkey. This is, these were Greek city-states. Remember, most of the Ionian philosophers and all that. The Persians had conquered this area, Persians had conquered this area, were taking it over. The Ionians wanted their freedom. There's a revolt there. Many Ionian city-states refused to join because they're afraid of the wrath of the Persian emperor and the Persian military. The Athenians say, we'll get involved, and they decide they're going to help the Ionians. They view them as kin, right? The same. And this angers Darius to no end. He sees this as not only did they reject his offer, but now they're actively fighting against him and supporting a revolt against him. How angry is he about this? Legend has it that at every meal, Darius had his servants say to him, remember what the Athenians did. Remember what the Athenians did, over and over again. You can tell he's kind of pissed about this. So that's going to come back. So he's going to come back with a vengeance. But that is what starts this off. And you can see, this is maps of the wars. But again, Ionia is over here. And Athens is there. And so they're going to help with that. This is, we've seen this before. This is just the Persian king Darius. This is his signet. A signet is a, is like a symbol, the royal symbol. You would press this in wax, that sort of thing. And this is to make sure, and you can see it's the Persian king as warrior, defeating a mighty lion. You can see the Zoroastrian symbol up here, and you can see, the writing, which is, in many ways, at this point, sort of an evolved form of, all the way back to cuneiform. So, why is this important? Well, the first one is, the Persians come for Athens, and this is at the famous Battle of Marathon in 490 BCE. So Athenians look for help, and no one wants to help them. Argument is why they're afraid of the Persians. Athens is the one that angered Persia, so why get involved? Maybe they'll be left alone. The Athenians go to the Spartans, who claim they're defenders of Greece and all this, and the Spartans say, sorry, can't help you. We are in the middle of a religious festival. We can't get involved. That could be the cause. It could also be the reason. It could also be that they just didn't want to get involved in this. So what happens is the Greeks decide they're going to fight the Persians at the Battle of Marathon. What they do is they force the Persians to fight in a narrow corridor. They fall down, knock down trees and that. Try and take away the Persian advantage in numbers. The other thing is they had Miltiades. Miltiades had served for the Persians in their army, so they have knowledge of their their tactics. What happened is the Persians had archers. The Greeks are, and it's just Athens. Well, one other small city, Plataea, sent some soldiers. That makes Plataea and Athens really great allies throughout all of this. And so the thing is, if people are shooting arrows at you, the best thing to do is run at them, especially from a long distance. This way, when they shoot the arrow, they're aiming at the spot originally where you were. Now, if you charge at them, they're going to miss you. No one had ever done this to the Persians, so they were shocked. They never would think anybody would charge at them. They had a much larger, more powerful army. Now imagine thousands of soldiers running in metal armor down a hill at a full sprint, almost a mile, at them. They panicked. and the Athenians and Plataeans were able to defeat them. I mean, they drove them back in the water. The problem is the Persians got nowhere to go because they are on the water. And let me just show you this here, so you can see them come right at them, and they just destroyed the best of the Persian army here. And then the flanks, who are forced soldiers, kind of give up. And, the Persians cannot go anywhere because this whole area, this is a better one. See, they can't really, they can't get to the sides here. So you got 100,000 and 10,000 here. The Greeks slaughter them. They lose under 100 people, the Greeks. The Persians lose thousands. The Persians try to get back in their boats. The Greeks actually pull the boats back onto the land and destroy everybody. Now what happens is, what happens is from here, let me see if the map is there. Yeah, this is another view of the battle. Is that the Persians get back in their boats and they decide to go and attack Athens. Marathon's, a little over 20 miles, what a marathon is today. And what happens is, and this is the story, they send out runners to Athens, but so does the entire force of Athenians run all the way back to Athens. So when the Persians get there, they see the entire army waiting for them, and they decide it's not worth it, and they go away. So you can see the road here. And so this is the distance between the two is where we get the concept of a marathon. The marathon distance. Yeah, the distance of the marathon is a little over 26 miles. Now, it's actually closer to really 26. The story goes later, why is the marathon 26.2? This goes back to the power of royals, that in a English queen wanted to see a race, and she wanted to see the finish line, and her palace window was 0.2 miles from the finish line, so they extended it that way. So that's at least the story behind that. Back one more. Here, very important afterwards. So, what comes after is this post-war silver strike. The Athenians find all of this silver, a major silver vein, right in their territory. At first, the idea was the Athenian assembly says, let's distribute all the wealth to our citizens, right? Sort of a money to make everybody richer from the silver. Then comes Themistocles, the great foresight general and leader here of Athens. He says, no, shouldn't just waste our money like this. We need to build an extraordinarily large navy. Why? The Persians will come back. We need to be able to defend ourselves. And he convinces the assembly to use their money to build a navy. Now, this is extraordinarily wise because this will not only make Athens the most powerful city-state on the seas, it will allow them to defeat the Persians in the next war. Just again, real foresight there, not using your money just to make everybody happy, but to build for the future there. And then what you get is the Great Persian Invasion here, which comes back, years later. Now you have Xerxes, who's here to sort of bring back the revenge for his father's loss here. Now this is a massive fighting force here. It's so big that it took nearly a week for them to cross the Hellespont. The Hellespont is here. Hellespont separates the areas there. So what they did was create a pontoon bridge and put all their ships together. It took them to move all their troops and supplies a week across this. So you can get the idea of how large it is. It's in the hundreds of thousands. The ancient Greeks say it's millions, but it's actually hundreds of thousands. Nonetheless, a massive army. What the Greeks did here was extraordinary. They came together. Remember, Greek city-states are independent. Here, though, they joined forces, 31 of them. Really, that's a small amount out of the hundreds, but 31 city-states say, we are going to unite to maintain our independence. They give the Spartans leadership of the military, the infantry, because of course you would, with the great king Leonidas, and the Athenians take over as the naval force, because that's their strength with the great general Themistocles. And so this is the beginning of the war there, and you can see the, just how far they come to get them in the Hellespont there. Xerxes, brings his throne everywhere. Here's him whipping the sea to show that they defeated it, to bring their armies across it. Very ritualistic thing there. All right, this is, I'll stop here. The next video we'll begin with with the famous Battle of Thermopylae. You've seen the movie 300, I'm sure. All right, thank you. Start over in the next video from here.